I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I feel small. I feel weak. Wet and bare. Shaking knees. Like a newborn fawn. Clean and pure. Standing in the road. So unsure. It's fight or flight in the springtime. I got the taste of blood in my mouth, and I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Metamorphosis. What a test is this? It's a cosmic tear. Did you walk right in? Change your flesh. Change your mind. Everything you have will change in time. Believe it. From a worm to a winged work of art, spread my wings and fly them around. I'm coming out. I showed up to battle in my best suit. I got the taste of blood in my mouth, and I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I'm coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we talk now,
We
right?
should talk.
We're
be
Shovels and Rope.
ourselves.
Just be ourselves. We're from Charleston, South Carolina. I see somebody else from Charleston, South Carolina in the room.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to talk. How are you?
Yeah.
All right. We have a new record called By Blood, and this is a song called Mississippi Nothing. Your joy is killing me. I don't have anything. Remember when we used to wear each other's clothes? Yeah, I've been struggling, but I know life lots of things, and I got an idea that's gonna turn on the money hose. Choking on a joke, try to keep it light. I could never quite get the timing right, but you never know how it feels. I got ideas. Ooh, no one knows. We watched you on TV at the recovery. The sound was good, but you're always looking down. Don't take this personally, but man, if that was me, I'd make more eye contact with the camera, kinda work the crowd. You probably think I called to say that you were right, but I'm blackout drunk in a cotton field on a Friday night, and I got nothing to do but tell you how I feel. I got ideas. Ooh. So watch out. You always think I'm bluffing, like I'm some kind of Mississippi nothing. But I was first string quarterback, drove you everywhere. A time when Ronnie hit you so hard, you tried to drive and wrecked your car, and I had to help you wash the blood out of your hair. 'Cause I've always been the kind of go-to friend. Maybe it's true, maybe I'm just a blue-collar version of you. Oh, 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 you're on a winning streak. I got laid off last week, but I got a plan that's gonna turn it all around. I got ideas. I got ideas. No one knows.
Poor guy. Always sitting around thinking about what he could have been instead of focusing on what he ought to be. Sad.
Yeah, it's a bigger message, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we're not too sure what to do right here. We'll probably just play another song. I would like to say I'm wearing our own T-shirt, and Carrie's wearing our own T-shirt. They're not selling well, so we have a closet full of them, and it actually says, I've seen some pictures, and it says by blood, but I realized that it looks like it says by lewd. I'm not trying to get anybody to buy it. By lewds, and it's not even how it's spelled.
There's a song we have about it's a magical it's a fairy tale about a magical horse that basically jumps over the rubble of the fallen wall on the border in the aftermath of its destruction, and reunites families by finding them on one side of the destroyed wall and bringing them to the other side. And it's called Come On, Utah.
I was thirsty, I was lost, I was hanging on a cross, I was dying to make it back to Colorado. Bones in a saddle, I was weary from the battle. The path was much too difficult to follow. Well, come on, Utah, get me over that hill. We got 10 more miles, gonna turn that dial. We're never coming back again. Come on, Utah, race me over that land. I wanna see my son and carry my gun like a real American. Well, the wall had come and gone, and all the lost ones had moved on. They would gather on the hill to tell their story. Utah was his name. He had a calico mane. He would stride out on a Cananea morning. Well, he sauntered to my side, and I fell into his eyes. And in them I saw fire mixed with music. So I climbed up on his back, and we lighted down the track. And I yelled his name out so loud, everybody knew it. I said, come on, Utah, race me over that lake. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and on up the Rio Grande, baby, come on, Utah, get me over that land. Well, I'm a weary mile, I'm a jealous child, I got sunshine on my skin, but the hill is steep and my arms are weak, and I'm out of breath, and there's nothing left. But there's wind at my back, and water in my pack, and a horse with a will like a cannon. I was thirsty, I was lost, I was hanging on a cross, I was dying to make it back to Colorado.
Michael, Carrie Ann, thank you so much for playing 3 songs for us. We appreciate that. You guys did great, by the way. You said, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do up here. I think play music for us. You spot on. You nailed it.
Mission
Out of all the things you
accomplished.
could have done.
It's
Yeah,
the
you
only
nailed
thing
it.
we're good at. So I'm glad we could serve our proper purpose to you today.
I love it. You guys nailed it. So thank you so much, guys. We were talking a little bit before you guys played the songs for us. You guys are fairly busy, I think would be an understatement. As you guys mentioned, the new album By Blood came out in April. You also hosted your own festival in Charleston. You hosted it, played in it, recruited for it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You guys have a movie coming out, Shovels and Rope, the movie, in August 2nd, I believe it is, releasing. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. You also, for the last song you played, thank you for playing that, Come On Utah, you also are working on a book for that song. And then on top of all of that, you have a 6-month-old that came out right in the middle of all of that. So thank you for carving some time out for us. Let's start there. With all of the time on the road, all of these things you have going on, how do you balance that personal life with the professional life, right? And you're also touring with your children as well. So they're on the tour bus with you, having a good time, I think, probably adding an extra layer of stress. But how does all that work out for you guys?
We just had to get real savvy with scheduling. It sounds boring, but we actually wrote a schedule out, put it on the fridge. At least for when we were at home working on music, it was like, there's no possible way to get this stuff done unless we write a nerdy schedule out.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
And on tour, we have infrastructure. We have a nanny and our tour manager. Everybody's on board. Everybody loves the kids, and everybody pitches in to make sure that they stay safe and have a good time. But we travel with a person that supports us and makes sure that the kids have what they need when we're both on stage. And we just I think every parent and every family has to balance work life and home life. Our home life takes place, like, we're always together all the time, so we have an advantage in that sense. So the challenges are certainly outweighed by the fact that we spend so much time with our kids while they're little, so we're really lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And I flashed a picture up here. I've got a couple of pictures. I believe that's on the tour bus.
It is. Our bus was broke down this morning.
The cutest thing you've ever seen.
That was a breakdown moment.
Yeah.
And you can see Louie has got, like, she's coloring with something, and Oscar's and the baby Bjorn unsafely
Yeah,
on the
I don't want to
couch.
hear it from the mom shamers. You guys can just be quiet.
No
because
judgment. We're all doing our best,
Yeah.
right? Here's another one. This appears to be on a plane.
Yeah.
You guys are doing the flying at 5 months, 4 months
I
as
think that was
well.
Oscar's first flight.
Yeah.
Louie's an old pro. She knows how to do it. You see how comfortable she is. She's like, I'm in the window seat. I got my snacks.
Yeah.
She's having a good time.
Yeah.
And then my personal favorite picture, which is probably one of the most adorable things I've seen. We were joking earlier. This apparently this is where babies come
It
from,
is.
right?
It's where rock and roll babies come from.
Opened up the case, and there he was.
The stork just brings them to load out and puts them in the case.
He rides comfortably in there in the back of the trailer.
Yeah.
I love it. It looks comfy. Do they make one in my size?
I bet
Maybe
you
a
they do.
stand-up base.
Oh, yeah. This case company can make anything.
Yeah. No, I love what you guys do, though, and I was reading you guys built kind of a recording studio and kind of creative space in the backyard of your house as well, so you can kind of stay engaged as well.
We did.
Yeah, and has that led to more creativity?
Oh, yeah.
just
kind of being around the family, being able to pop back there without having to run to a studio down the street or something like that, or trying to record while the kids are crying in the background.
It was a necessity. We had on our record before this one, Little Seeds, we just had our first kid, and we make all of our records in our house. We always have, and we just had like a little modest studio upstairs, and then we were like, oh yeah, this will be fine. We'll just have, our neighbor come over, and she'll hold the baby, and we'll just go upstairs, and she'll gently put the baby down to sleep, and then we'll go upstairs and hammer out some drums. It'll be great. And it was really difficult, and we had to step back and take a rethink, and it was the best thing that we could have done.
Yeah, we have this awesome dedicated space where our stuff is set up, and we can rehearse, or we can record, or we can write, and there's not Legos on the floor, and it's right there, so we can be back and forth, bouncing back and forth between the worlds.
The two worlds. Yeah, I was going to ask about that. The world, the family world, the personal world, and then the art world and the professional world. Are you guys still? Is there like a conscientious split between the two right now? Obviously, you're touring with your family, and they're part of your music and part of what you're doing every day. But you try and keep a separation between that. Or are you starting to blend the two together?
It's weird. We have, since the beginning, we were kind of, everybody's interested in, oh, you guys are a married couple. Like, how does it go? What's it like? And,
You guys fight all the time?
yeah.
You guys never fight?
And we tried to kind of ignore it. We probably should have, I don't know. We were like trying to be a little bit sly about it, and it just doesn't work. It's like, it's obviously what we do. It's obviously a big part of how we operate. And I feel like, with this record, there's some themes on it, and actually, in the title of it and everything is all kind of wrapped around us relenting to the fact that this is it's our family business, and we're all going to do this together, and we're kind of stuck with each other, and it's great, and it's also hard, and it's I don't know, that was a different like mindset, I think, that we had this time around.
And maybe I'm totally missing the purpose of the song, but the song you guys led for us, "I'm Coming Out," if I read the lyrics right, is, I assume, about your newborn son, or at least has some connotations around that as well. So again, kind of that's your professional life. You're writing songs, but at the same time, you're bringing in some of that personal as well.
Yeah, that song definitely started out being inspired as like from the perspective of a baby that knows that change is coming. He's about to be born, and he doesn't know what circumstances he's going to be born into, or like if he's going to be in peace or in a war zone, but he's going to come out like the human, the natural survival instinct that we have kicks in, and he's like excited about being born, but it becomes an allegory for coming out of whatever closet, like, you know, people who are reckoning with their sexuality, or people who are reckoning with what they want to do with their life, like went to college to be a doctor and they just want to be a poet, or it's like emerging from your personal cocoon and transforming into your best self, and being ready to fight.
And I also like to, I just flipped pictures to the new album as well, the title song, "By Blood," and you guys actually included all the lyrics on the cover as well. And I think it's a really interesting song too. I'm a father myself, and I think some of the lyrics, at least the way that I read them, are about, you know, trying to find yourself as a parent, right? And trying to find how you spend time in your professional life, but also spend time with your children as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And Michael, I believe, did you write this song?
Yeah.
I think kind of from a father's perspective, so it touched me as well. I'm like, well, I know kind of what he's talking about. I don't tour with my children, but still a lot of the same kind of challenges.
It was just a lot about trying to figure it out, you know, the complicated relationship that you have with your new kid, especially being a dad, and like, you know, you're not really the one for a while, and you know, but you want to be there, and you want to be supportive, and try to do everything that you can do, and I don't know, it's really about a complicated type of love, and I feel like that is that's our whole thing in a nutshell. You know, if you would want to distill it all, it's, you know, it's based on love, but it's all, you know, pretty complicated, but it's great, and we're grateful.
Yeah. My experience was with my first child, what you said, you're trying to figure out as a father what you do.
Why do you hate me?
Yeah. What am I here for? I know the first part, but now for a while it's really dependent on mom.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is with the second child is that you, at least I did, and it sounds like you as well with your oldest daughter, become very attached to her, while the newborn's spending time with the mom, right, too? And I think that's a lot of it as well.
It is. We have a great, you know, like a really cool thing going on now, and he's a lot different too. So, and
you're different. You're confident, and you know how to. You're not scared of that baby.
No,
Dads, woo.
I do feel like at the beginning, like with with your first child, everything is, it's nuts, and your own, you know, you're projecting your own thing onto them, and you're probably intensifying every situation by your, you know,
nervous energy,
nervousness, and like, what do I do? And yeah, I mean, it's like everything is it's easy breezy, and it's great to kind of, you know, be working towards that peace, and that, you know, just like easy breezy vibe.
And it's day by day, right? You're trying to figure it out day by day.
Oh, it's always easy breezy every day. There's never any problem.
Some are good, some are bad, I'm sure. That's awesome. Let's talk about another song, too. The last song you guys played for us, "Come On, Utah," which I absolutely love. I just love the vibe of it, and I love the story behind it, too. When I first started listening to it, I was like, wait a minute, what is this song about? Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned it in the lead-in, Cary Ann, and I appreciate that, but can you talk a little bit more about where that song came from? And obviously there's some political undertones to it. You know, you can write about political undertones in an interesting way, and almost a fun way. And you're also working on a book around that as well.
Yeah.
And so maybe just kind of tying those three things together. And if you're forgetting them, I'll remind you.
Sure. Come On Utah was one of the first songs that came to the work pile for this album. Michael brought it to the pile. And we were working on the song, and I was floored by it when right out of the gate. I thought it was a great fairy tale, and the idea is that a wall came up on the southern border of our country. In due time, it was brought down, and in the course of all that, communications and culture have changed, and there's a lot of separation. Like a lot of people who don't, one of our crewmates was like, it makes sense because everything is digital, and if you don't have a phone, you don't have any photos, and you can't find, you don't have a way to contact anybody, you could really be isolated in the future trying to reunite with your family. So the story is that the kids and the families are sitting around the campfires waiting to come across the border. They're waiting to make contact. And the families are telling folk tales, things to calm the kids, to calm their anxieties. And the story is that there's this magical horse that will come and will find you and just will know where your people are. And you'll just jump on his back and he'll whisk you over the rubble and up the river and back to Colorado, where you'll find your loved ones that you've been separated from. Fast forward to the news, all of a sudden, there's amplified crisis at the border. There's the separation crisis, and it took our breath away. And then you noted that there's like a little bit of a fun spirit to the song. All of a sudden, we were conscious that we didn't want to be glib or silly about something that was so serious and awful. And then when we were playing the song, we made sure we wanted to tell the story. And so, we're on tour in the South, and we're talking about this wall, and there's a mix of, yeah, build a wall and no wall, like in the audience. Sure. And so we learned early to, we're going to say what we feel, and that's important to us, that, we have a feeling about the way the world should be, and that's going to come across in our art. That's our job as artists, and that's what we're going to do. But we're not in the business of, setting fire to a place in a political, a cacophony of hurt feelings. But it is our job to take a stand and to tell the narrative that is important to us. And so, Come On Utah, we've recently decided we would have it illustrated into sort of a children's book, kind of a graphic novel, a conversation piece that fans of our music can discuss with their kids what the song is about with a little bit of context. And maybe we can, just facilitate that conversation. In the meantime, when the book comes out, it's in the middle of the process. Portions of the proceeds will certainly be directed to organizations that are helping to support the families in crisis down there and help the kids in the best way, that we know how, because it's such a helpless feeling.
Yeah. And there's an undertone of hope as well through the
Always.
song. It's I think I said fun. I think more hope is what we're looking for, and I think that's what's so interesting about the song is when you're speaking to children and some things like that are more on the sensitive side, helping them find hope in a situation that seems dire is incredibly important. That's why I like the song so much, and the fact you guys are turning into a book is absolutely awesome as well.
Thank you.
And then also too, you hit on this a little bit, Carrie Ann, like in the type of music that you guys make, which is admittedly hard to kind of put a finger on, but there's obviously undertones of folk and bluegrass and things like that. A lot of that type of music is based on storytelling, like narrative writing, narrative storytelling, right? Where there's the old kind of murder ballads of old days and things like that, where it's a story is being told through the songs itself. And you guys in the past have wrote a lot of songs like that. There's a few of them on the new record as well. But that also has its place as well, where you're kind of doing some narrative storytelling through your music as well. Yeah,
just like creating some characters and playing the story out through their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, we talk about storytelling. So I mentioned it as well earlier, you guys are releasing on August 2nd your first live concert. Tell me about it, actually, because it mixes a lot of different things in. Actually, I'll play the trailer first, and then we can maybe talk about where the idea came from and how it differs from like a traditional concert film, because it certainly does.
You know, for the purposes of protecting the innocent, we'll just call this town any old town, US of A.
It's Charleston.
And tonight, there's a little shindig.
Got
Looks
me
pretty
excited.
cool.
Yeah, it looks cool, right?
Yeah.
I agree. And there's even, I think there's a longer trailer that I went through the other day, which tells a lot more. It's more of like the narrative story worked in there as well. So anyhow, tell us, where did this idea come from? How did it turn into that? Because that looks awesome.
We set out to make a concert film, just like, we're going to go into this place, to a club and play 2 nights and record it well and film it well and mix it, and it's going to be, one of those. And the director he hit us up. He started sending a couple clips of a couple of the songs, and it just looked like something else, something different and like more unique, and not just like concert film. Here comes the lights. Here's the band. Sit on your couch and watch it. Kind of a less. A lesser version of what you would have seen at the show. Sure. And then we started the discussion about how, concert films are great, but they can get boring. It's like this, you're not getting pounded by the sound. You're not getting, you're sitting there. It's very, it's just like this regular 2D thing. And the clips that he was sending were like these little vignettes. They felt like little movies, like there's one shot where he just started way, way back and zoomed in, and then it was like zooming in through the camera lens of somebody else. And it seemed like something else. It seemed like we could do something else with it. And he came to us with the idea of like, well, what if we just make it a movie? And like, we'll make a movie. We'll weave in like a storyline. We'll get actors, and we'll write a script. And we're like, yeah, that sounds good. Like ambitious, but we were down to do something.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, we were down to do something, outside of the box. And so we ended up just he wrote a script, and then he bounced it to us, and then we kind of rewrote it and bounced it back to him, and then it just. We started the ball rolling, and it turned into this story that we're like, oh yeah, maybe we could actually do this. And so we had to tour a lot during that time, that the ball was rolling, and he, rounded up a bunch of comedians and actors, like local actors from Charleston, and just started shooting stuff, and it was like began to come together in a really, like a totally unique way.
Yeah, we loaned him our T-Bird. He drove our old car around, and
that's your car in there.
Yeah, there's the T-Bird is made and it's in the movie, which I think is great. It's visually interesting and just something different, where our music plays a role as a character in a movie on a VHS, because a VHS tape. We're excited about it.
And there's roughly 10 songs kind of interspersed throughout as well.
Yeah, 10 songs, and it's a story about this guy who's down on his luck, had some hard times in his life, and his daughter is a real go-getter, and she's trying to pull him up out of his funk, and he's a fan of the band, and he wants to go to the show, and that's where some of this stuff happens. Sure, yeah. And I'm kind of stuck with what I was trying to say.
Well, you should tell them when it comes out on the website.
Well, it comes out on the website on August 2nd. There you go. And you're gonna get 3 things with the download. You get the actual movie, with the narrative in it, and the concert. You get a narrative less, just like only the concert. So like if you've seen the movie, or if you're that's not
hate
your
the
thing,
movie,
you can
have to
just
watch
watch watch the songs, watch the live performance bit, and you get a download of the live audio, which sounds pretty good.
Sounds like a good deal.
It's a good deal. And directly from us. We're going to just distribute it ourselves.
Skip the middleman. I love that.
A little bit.
I love it. So from the website, cool. We'll include a link on there so you guys can take a look at it as well. But that's awesome. Super excited to watch it all a couple weeks. That's awesome. Actually, not even. You mentioned too. I'm changing subjects, but Carrie Ann, you kind of led me into this because as you were talking about putting together this movie, you said it sounds like a lot of work. And again, I kind of alluded to this earlier. You guys also, back in April, this was your third annual Highwater Festival. So for those of you that don't know, actually, why should I tell you about the Highwater
It's
Festival?
just another thing that
you
eats
guys
into
can
our
tell us
leisure
about
time,
it. Yeah.
Jason.
Right.
You know, we had leisure time, and they said, you want to do a festival? And our answer is always the same. Sounds like a lot of work. I'm not sure. No, so Highwater Festival is a festival we do every year in April. We just had our third annual. We curate the music and the overall culture of the festival. We pick some of the food and the drinks and just kind of create the vibe. It's very artist friendly. It's very fan friendly. Pretty affordably priced. Lineup is stacked.
It's not too big.
It's not too big. It's we're always moving towards a greener and greener footprint, so it's relatively low impact, high yield for the community because there's a charitable component to the ticket sales. It's something we're really proud of. It was an opportunity that was given to us. We partnered with AC Entertainment. They brought you Bonnaroo, and so they can do a 10,000 person festival all day long, easy. So it sounds good, looks good. There's enough potties. The waits aren't too long for the beers. All these things,
It's family friendly. There's stuff for kids to do, and usually the lineup is, we pick the band, so it's like, there's rock and roll in there. There's maybe some, something for the younger kids, and then there's like some people who have been around for a while, and a lot of the acts we meet out on the road, and strike up a conversation like.
Yeah.
Come play our festival.
Yeah.
It's not too hard to pull people to Charleston in April either. It's not too hot yet. Nice weather, good food.
And Charleston is such a beautiful town. It's one of the most popular tourist destinations in the States. Yeah. But we're a secondary, if not tertiary, touring market.
Sure.
And so our festival gives bands an opportunity to route through, get paid, meet a bunch of fans they didn't know they had, introduce fans that didn't even know about a band to a band that will be their new favorite band, and they'll go see them in smaller clubs when they come back to town. So that feels exciting.
The lineup for all 3 years has been stacked, but this year was incredible. And you mentioned it, Michael. You meet folks out on the road. You obviously have friends from playing for a long time now. Are you working on that all year round? Are you running into folks? Are you calling folks up? I mean, it seems like it's something that the minute that this year's ended, you're already starting to plan for next year. Like, what's that process look like to bring those folks in?
We kind of chill for a week. Everything gets cleaned up, and then we have a meeting, and everybody starts, kind of debriefing, like, how did this go? What was good? What was bad? How could we do better? How could we make it greener? How could and
it's never how can we make it bigger.
It's never how can we make it bigger.
It is what it is.
How can we make it better and more, and just like a better experience, and we want people to have a good time. We want it to be. We're not trying to take it all the way to the bank every year. It's like if we can make it something that people really want to come to, and before they even know the lineup, they're like, Highwater's, it's legit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we start talking about lineup like pretty quick. We're thick in it right now.
We submit a list this long, 10 pages of all the bands that we like, and then it's a matter of like who's on tour. Who can we afford? Who wants to do the festival and can't, but maybe next year? And
we're mindful to keep it inclusive and just do our best to give everybody an opportunity and make it just like do what we should be doing. And so I guess I don't know. We might have a few people on lock for this for Highwater 4. But it's constant.
Yeah, I love it. It's on my calendar for next year already. I got a couple good buddies who live in Charleston, so I'm going to try and tie the two together. So I trust in you guys that the lineup is going to be on point like it was this year and the years before. So I'm not even worried about it. So
The only thing
awesome.
that's ever a threat, really, is the weather is
weather, yeah.
tricky. But the cool thing about Charleston is, God forbid our festival gets rained out, there's absolutely no way you can have a bad time. If you like to eat and you like fine beverages and fun people, come on.
I do. Do you guys?
That's the spot.
Yeah.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me ask you, kind of tying everything kind of back together. I read an article earlier this year from the Wall Street Journal that you guys were actually featured in, or there was a quote from you, I believe, Carrie Ann, about, I guess, the mid-market of touring bands, right? We're not talking about the top 1%. It was basically showing the differentiation between, like, the Beyoncés and Taylor Swifts, who are charging astronomical prices for their shows in Cannes, filling up arenas like the one we're in right now very easily, and going on a 50-city tour around the world and making boatloads of money. And then from there, very quickly, it drops into the second layer of musicians. And that consists of constant touring. I think I read something where one of you was quoted saying we're basically on tour forever. And you guys do, right? So you're doing the touring, you're doing the movie, you're doing the book, you're doing the festival. How does that all play out for you guys? How do you sit down and say, listen, this is what our year looks like? I know you talked about scheduling and things like that, but how do you tie all of that back together into something that makes sense as parents, as musicians, as professionals, as all of that?
It requires a giant team of people. Straight talk. I mean, good management. We have great management. We have great management at home. Road managing is tight. The booking agents are on point with the things that we want to do. We have basically sit down and create our vision for the year, and then the people that we work with, establish the appropriate tour for the appropriate length of time, and yeah, it takes a lot of people working together to keep the organization running well, and we have great people.
Yeah, and it kind of frees us up to come up with ideas or just to be creative, and then, we're in a comfortable place with all the people that work around us to be like, we have an idea. How does this work?
How bad is this idea?
When do we have time to do this? How can we make this idea work? And then, our manager or, our team will provide the space and everything. It's really like, it's cool being in a mid-level thing because there's, nobody's really telling us what to do. They let us do our job and we let them do their job, and everybody trusts each other, and, it's good.
And I love that too. I mean, I think it's such an interesting spot to be in with all the connections with your fans and being able to do a lot of things that are, kind of allow you to kind of expand that creativity. Let me ask you a question around that then too. When do you find time to write music, find time to write new songs? Are you sitting on a pile of songs?
Question, Jason.
When does that fit in?
Usually when we're pregnant.
That's
right?
when we write. Honestly, we get pregnant. We write a lot of songs.
We did. This is real. When we had our first child, back to the beginning of this conversation, we see someone, we see a therapist. We're like, take it serious, and we're like really having a hard time finding the time to be creative. It's like there's always something to do. I mean, and if you're not doing the thing, then you're feeling guilty, and you can feel the resentment, wave about.
And your partner and your children resenting you at every turn.
You're making me feel bad. I'm like, when do I have time to go mow the lawn?
What
and
are you
guys
supposed to be doing right
albums.
now? Your kids beat you.
You got something to do, right? Yeah.
We sat down and we're like, okay, well, how do we do this? Who's getting up at what time, and when can each of us have, 2 or 3 hours to just go and be alone and try to write or be creative or clear our minds. And we took that part of it seriously and gave each other some time and space.
Yeah.
And it was good. It worked. We wrote this record through that space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time out of this busy schedule too. We know your kids are back at the hotel, and we know you've got the day off, as you were telling us earlier. So thank you for spending some time with us. I know it's a short amount of time, but we couldn't appreciate it more. I ended with this picture. I love this picture, and it was fun watching you guys perform too. You guys are very constantly in contact with one another, and I don't know if that's just because you're so passionately in love, or you're just telling each other through your eye motions that you're screwing things up.
It's
I don't know
both.
which one it is. Yeah, both
I
of them.
passionately love you, and you're very much screwing this
And
up.
we're totally off on the beat and
Yeah.
get back on. But I love this picture, and I think it just kind of brings everything back together. And thank you again for coming in today. We really appreciate it. Thanks for playing a little bit of music for us and talking a little bit about the things going on. Good luck with everything coming out as well.
It's
Thank
cool to
you.
be here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
We've
Thank you,
enjoyed
guys.
our visit.
Thank you.